Have everybody checked in? And so I'm calling the meeting to order. This is the November Project Steering Committee meeting. So welcome everybody and happy early holidays. So first of all, we have the confirmation of quorum, and then I'll do a quick agenda review. And so today we'll go over our minutes. We'll have the public comment after we review the agenda today. Julia will provide an introduction of new CalSAWS staff. We'll talk about performance trends, hear about a benefits Cal update. There'll be the release and policy updates. Gainwell will provide a report on the infrastructure transition, an ICT update. The CalSAWS Learning Exchange will be discussed today. We'll have the procurement update, the state partners update, the regional priorities, and some information about next month's PSC meeting, which will be canceled. And then the meeting will be adjourned. So that's today's agenda. And now this is the public opportunity to speak on any item not on the agenda. Public comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, except that a speaker using a translator shall be allowed up to 6 minutes. Note, the public may also speak on an item on the agenda by waiting until that item is read and then requesting recognition from the chair to speak. So is there any public comments at this time?
Hi, this is Jennifer Tracy
Hi,
from the Advocates Group. I'm just sharing a comment from Amy Dearlam, who is the CalFresh Outreach Director at the River City Food Bank. Over the last month or so, the Benefits Cal team has been visiting her office and her staff and working with their assisters to understand the barriers the staff and customers are facing when trying to access benefits using Benefits Cal, and the barriers to sending documents successfully. So we're really grateful for the on-site support and the intentional engagement to really understand that end-to-end process between customer and CBO all the way through to the eligibility worker. And we know it takes time to move some of these needs into actual change, but we're really grateful for this focused attention and hope that we can continue to see this type of engagement to understand the user experience and be able to create solutions that actually will solve the problem. So thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Any other public comments? Okay, hearing none then, we will move to the next item, which is approval of the minutes and review of action items. And in looking at the minutes, there were no action items from the last meeting. And so I'll ask if anybody would like to move to approve.
Cindy, do you want to do public comment or questions of the PSC first?
Okay, any questions from the PSC on the minutes? Any questions from the public on the minutes? Comments? Okay, now I'll request if there could be a move to approve.
Good morning, Cindy. Move to approve.
Albert second.
Cindy,
Oh, okay.
Wait, who made the motion?
Irene Weezer, Region 6.
And Albert was a second?
Albert, were you the second?
Yes,
Albert was second.
Albert from San Diego second.
Okay. All right. Lynn? I approve. All right, Cindy.
Approve.
Oh, Sua. Sorry, Sua.
I approve.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Of Cindy?
Approve.
Okay, Albert, sorry. Jamae?
Mayor, you have mute. We'll circle back around.
Yeah. Sandra?
I approve.
Okay. Sean?
think you might be on mute, Sean. Okay,
Morning.
thank you.
Did she say,
We're having a hard time
Sean?
hearing.
was that you?
Yes.
Okay, yes. All right, Olga?
Approved.
All right,
I want to circle back around to Jemaine. Did you get the volume working there?
Yes, I approve.
okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Cindy.
Okay, that was the approval of the minutes. Thank you, everybody. And then we'll move on to our agenda with informational items. And first up is Julia.
So today, we want to introduce two new members of our leadership team that have started since the last PSC. The first is Sandeep Aji. Sandeep is our Chief Technology Officer, which is a new role for CalSAS. As the CTO, Sandeep's responsibility is really on being our senior technology strategist here at the project, helping with some of the innovation that we want to bring to the counties and the community, providing some road mapping of our technology initiatives and supporting that, as well as increasing our data and analytics capabilities. Moving to Robert Lusk, if you all have been around for a while, so you know Laura Chavez was our technology and operations director. Robert Lusk is her successor. So he will be focusing on our operations day to day, the lobby, the help desk, contact centers, imaging, all those things that are near and dear to your heart from day to day, and making sure those are stable and reliable for the counties. He will also be providing support of our tech ops team, obviously. So tech ops and basically our self-service. So he'll be collaborating with our CTO as we move from what we're doing day to day to kind of the longer term positioning of CalSAS to support the counties. But he's also the one who manages our SLAs and making sure our vendors are meeting those SLAs. So with that, Cindy, I'll turn it back over to you for any questions or comments.
Okay, great. Thank you. Happy to virtually meet the two of them. And so any questions or comments on this item from the PSC members? Any questions or comments from the public? I see Jen.
Yeah, thanks. Looking forward to learning more about the role of the CTO in stakeholder engagement. And do you have any sense about when we might get more information about what that would look like?
Yeah, we can certainly have a conversation. I know we have some upcoming meetings on that. And we can probably answer those questions during those times.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Okay, great. Thanks so much. And then on to performance trends with Arnold.
Yes, good morning, everybody. This is Arnold Malvik, Accenture Project Executive. For our performance trends for this quarter, and this is for the period of August through October, I wish I could say we were 100% on system availability, but we did encounter an issue on October 11th in our contact center that was related to a human error made on configuration when we were migrating code. It took us 60 minutes to resolve that error and to restore the ECCP functionality. We have done a root cause analysis around the error and the configuration, and the team has implemented additional steps and controls to avoid reoccurrence. And we are closely monitoring that situation. As far as the rest of our SLAs are, we're 100%. The help desk diagnosis is at 99%, which is well above target. And overall core CalSAS application availability and stability has been very good over that quarterly time period. If we move on to our onshore offshore metrics, From CalSAW's perspective, our cost of rework, we are still delivering outstanding quality and are continuing to have low rework rates, and our onshore offshore percentages sitting at roughly 65% onshore, 35% offshore. As I've mentioned before, a lot of this is due to the type of work that we're doing. If it's working with a lot of PII, personally identifiable information, we're limited to use our onshore team. So that's why we see the fluctuation between that. For contractually, we can go up to about 40% offshore. With that, I will transition over to Benefits Cal. Owner, I assume you'll cover Benefits Cal.
Thank you, Arnold. Good morning, everyone. From Benefits Cal standpoint, Benefits Cal system was able to exceed all the SLAs during the time period August through October. And in terms of the onshore offshore metrics, we maintained the stable percentages across our staffing and the hours from onshore staffing and the offshore side. And everything was looking good in terms of the portal. And with that, I think I will be handing over to imaging SLA.
Yes, so we'll have Sarah join us from Highland to cover the imaging SLA.
Good morning, Sarah Kiewit with Highland to review the imaging SLAs in that purplish color. For monthly uptime, the target each month is 99.9%. And as we mentioned the last 2 months, unfortunately, that target was missed in August, which resulted in an SLA credit for 61 minutes of downtime. Quick refresher, that incident was due to an issue on the Highland product side causing session timeouts. This product issue was resolved and measures have been put in place to prevent it from occurring in the future. The other 2 items, the page views and database transactions, each have a monthly target of 90%. The targets were met for each month with an average of 98.97% for providing access to a 70 kilobyte page view in 2 seconds or less, and 99.93% for database transactions completing in 1 second or less. And I did want to mention regarding the slowness issues that we discussed last month, Highland made several server configuration changes over the last month and image processing continues to run smoothly. We also deployed a system health dashboard on the Highland side earlier this week, and we are continuing to monitor the system for stability while we track metrics and identify trends to tune that dashboard to fit the specific needs of the CalSAW's imaging solution. So just wanted to provide a quick update on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Cindy, with that, we can return it to you for questions.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Those updates. Really appreciate seeing the performance here. And so is there any questions or comments from PSC members? Okay, any questions or comments from the public? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for that report. And we'll now move on to the Benefits Cal update.
Good morning. This is Lynn Bridwell, and I'll provide just a quick update for ROI, and then we'll, owner, I believe, will be taking over. For the ROI, we did have our work group meeting this past Monday. The state has confirmed that they are targeting to have the letters actually issued and posted by the end of the year. So that will prompt the other series of activities once those letters are officially posted and available for everyone. So we are continuing to monitor and watch that. We will continue to have our work group meetings, and then we will certainly report back as we start evaluating what this may mean for our automation changes. So I believe we can move to the next one with owner.
Thank you, Lynn. Good morning, everyone, again. So following the release of information updates, next topic we would like to provide an update to our PSC board is about the CalFresh able-bodied adults without dependence implementation. As you may recall from our previous meetings, the ABOD waiver is expected to expire October 2025 next year. And with this implementation, we are working on actively right now. There will be changes in the Benefits Cal portal across different areas, like such as the apply for benefits flow, the customer dashboards, what customers see after they log in, and then the support request module itself. And where the customers will be able to add about exemptions in AFP flow. They will be able to view the time limits displayed on their dashboard once they log in, and also able to report about exemptions as well as the work requirements as part of the support request module. Next slide, please. So on this slide, what you see is an outline of the activities we have been performing during this implementation timeframe. Of course, we started back in May, but just for the focusing on the August through November timeframe, what we have been doing. Design, you see the activities has been going on, and a series of design sessions have been being conducted with the stakeholders involved, including our state partners, customers, counties, and our advocacy group. And of course, before getting the design approval, there were several prototypes that being done through and gone through some usability testing to get the customers' feedback, what they think, whether this proposed design is going to work or not. And then customers' feedback has been shared with our extensive stakeholder group, state partners, advocacy groups, CWDA, CIU. And then again, after the stakeholders' feedback is incorporated, we did another round of usability testing with customers, whether this final version will look good or not. So once design, at this stage, design is completed, and right now we are in the development phase. And following the development, there's going to be a validation phase, of course. The county validation will be there. YouTube videos are going to be refreshed, created, and training materials or OCM materials are going to be developed to support our counties. And currently, the intended implementation timeline is January of next year, 2025. So if you can move on to the next slide, please. And moving on from the about to upcoming items, I just wanted to briefly share some key highlights for the upcoming system improvements that we are expecting this month and the next 2 months and early 2025 as well. I will not go through each and every one of them, but just the key highlights for our awareness. This month, we do have some improvements in terms of the Spanish translation changes based on what we heard from our stakeholders to improve the usability for our customers. And then there's some UCD research going on to improve the, again, customer experience and the CBO experience for CBO reports, the login and the redetermination phases. Next month, our 21st language, because you may recall the Benefiscal Portal supports 20 threshold languages, and 21st language, the simplified Chinese, is going to be added across the portal. So that is the key item. And as we move on to January 2025, the ABOT implementation I just shared is targeted to be implemented. And of course, there is some additional translation changes, usability changes that we are working on. And early 2025, we do have items that we are focusing on from usability improvements, and then some paid items that we are targeting to do December through April, and some of them are going to be in January and February that we will be targeting to deploy those also into production early 2025. If you can move on to the next slide, please. As we were speaking on the usability, we would like to share some highlights from what we have been seeing in production from the usability standpoint. When we were doing some customer research and collecting their insights, one of the feedback we have been hearing from them was, there is a help center in Benefiscal, but in order for customers to reach the help they need when they have a question about the functionality in their dashboard or anything that they do, it does require extra clicks for them. So they have to navigate out to that help center. So if they were losing time, then we were seeing the end-to-end usage, when we measured the usage, it was creating some additional, expanding the time period and also causing droppages. So in order to avoid that, we created some customer journeys where they are requesting the help the most when that navigation was happening, and edit YouTube links in the dashboard itself instead of customers navigating away from their pages. So after that change, we started to measure up before and after kind of a comparison, what was the impact and the implications. As you can see on the slide, this was deployed to production end of August. And before that and after that, there's a significant increase in the YouTube video views from the customer end, like over 100% increase August through October. There is a big spike. And another thing was when we measured total number of minutes when those videos were viewed, like it was around 580 minutes, 80 hours in the month of August. That increased to 1,400 hours in October, like almost tripled. So that view time is increased. So that is important from the customer self-sufficiency. Like if we can increase customers to use those materials, get more familiar with those features, what is possible, so they will be less likely to walk into the county offices, make phone calls, and it will be increasing their user self-sufficiency. So that was important from the usability standpoint. If you can move on to the next slide, please. And speaking of the usability and the customer experience, one thing we have been also looking into is you may probably heard us speaking about the usage adoption, some marketing efforts we have been planning to conduct. And one aspect of that pillar is who is using the system, who is not using the system. From our beneficiary standpoint, also once the customers get into the system, where they are spending the time most. So from the customer insight standpoint, where where these priorities or implementation improvements should be prioritized for our opportunity roster, it would give us good insight. So what you see on this slide is what customers do, like top 5 areas where they spend the time most after they get into the system. What we observed April through September of this year, customers check their EBT balances. That is number 1. And then customers have a tendency to check their program details, case details, and their message center. Message center is their notifications. If there is a two-way messaging, they can go and check their messages. And then a document center where they can upload supporting documents if there's a change reporting or renewals, etc. So these are the top 5 features they spend the most. And we also check where they spend time the least, of course, in the application. So if you want to encourage them to add nudges, to encourage the relatively less utilized features of Benefiscal, that is something we are checking as well, in addition to the most used features. So we just wanted to share these insights with our steering committee today. And with that, I will hand it back to you, Cindy, for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Good information. It does indicate a lot of improved usage and increased usage. So great news there. Any questions or comments from the PSC members?
I do want to say, this is Lynn, I do appreciate that because, if it's not easy to, navigate in Benefits Cal, people will leave it. And so I really like the improvements that you're making to have customers have a better experience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. And I see Sandra.
Hi, I also agree, and I appreciate you guys sharing the stats. It would be nice to see if there's any correlation with them watching the videos more, if it also reduces the calls to the helps or the support help desk. So, but thank you for sharing. That's really helpful.
Thank you, Sandra.
Any other PSC comments or questions? I did have a question for Lynn, and this is on the ROI. Thanks, Lynn, for that update. And just something caught my attention. So once you get the combined ACLs and go through all of that from the state, will you then need to, I'm assuming, look at the programming that was already included into CalSAWS to see if there will be any changes needed?
Yes, what we'll be doing is doing for lack of a term, more like a gap analysis of looking, because we basically shelved that. So it's still sitting there waiting. So we'll be looking at it to see what we can continue to utilize once we do a new implementation and what is it that we need to change.
Okay, and will you use that same work group, or will you have a work group that will look at that, or how will that happen?
Yeah, I anticipate it'll probably be new because several of the people that had participated before are in different positions or no longer available for various reasons. So I do anticipate that it'll be a similar work group. I don't anticipate it'll be the same ROI work group where we've been dealing and addressing policy and county concerns and processes, but more to focus on the automation.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you. Yeah, great. It's been a long time coming. So appreciate all the work from that work group on trying to put those policies together. So, okay, any last comments or anything from the PSC before I move on?
Yeah, Cynthia, this is Irene at Region 6. I did have a question. It does look like it did have an impact in usage. So I was wondering because I haven't looked up the YouTube videos. Are they only available in English, or is there a plan to make them available in other languages, or do they already exist?
Yes, the YouTube videos are translated into threshold languages with subtitles, of course. But they're in English, but subs are being translated to other languages too. The threshold languages that we have. They're already available under the Benefits Cal YouTube channel. Irene, would that answer your question?
Great, good question.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments or questions from the public? Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so thank you for that report on Benefits Cal update, Owner and Lynn, and we'll next move on to Lisa, if she's there, for the release and policy updates.
I am. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Let's
morning.
do this release and policy update. We are on the cusp of the last major release of the year. We're not done after 24/11, but this is our 6th and our last major release of the year. It is scheduled to be deployed on Sunday. We just got green light yesterday. We have over 70 enhancements going in, and we crossed the patch with this. We're hitting pretty much every program, I think, all our major programs, CalWorks, CalFresh, Medi-Cal, RCA's in there, GAGR changes for a couple of counties. We're also doing some interface updates. We've got some changes that we've coordinated with CSAS, which is our critical child support interface. So lots of changes going in. Just one that I'll highlight, family reunification. The automation is being deployed this weekend. So there's for those subset of CalWorks households that are on for PEG A codes. We have rules changes. We have notices going in English, Spanish, and threshold languages. We have batch processes going in. There will be a CIT coming out to the counties that is identifying the population as well as additional instructions as we move forward. Again, this policy is effective in January. So there is some slight more information coming out to the counties around this particular item and how we move forward. We're not done. If you look at the December column, we have a lot of activities coming up in December. Some of the standard activities we execute on is the statewide minimum wage increase. So it's going from $16 to $16.50. So we'll put the values in early December. It's already test complete. So we'll be pushing that through to production early December. There's a batch run in the middle of December to affect that change on the impacted households. We also have SSA COLA coming up, so we are in development on that. The values are ready to go. We're in development on the batch processing. And we also have the CAPI COLA. Now, CAPI COLA, we've got some XXs there, the last bullet on the slide in December. We only have draft numbers at this point, so people are making phone calls to CDSS to make sure we understand, are those numbers actually going to change? Are they final? Can we keep moving forward? So there is a risk if those numbers change that we won't be running this in December, but rather in early January. So that is a watch item that we have, and we're doing some reach out there to try to get those numbers hurried along. January, lot more coming. We have our baseline release as well as the SSI CalFresh column. Let's go to the next slide. So quick review here of 24/11. Everything is complete. Green light was yesterday. All the comms have gone out. So next step, 6 a.m. on Sunday, we're taking the system offline after batch processing to start those deployment activities and go through our validation. Monday, we will be hosting our daily calls in the afternoon. So looking forward to talking to you all Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I know it is a holiday week, but things need to keep moving along. So that is the quick spin through upcoming releases.
I'm going to introduce a new topic right now, but it's actually really an old topic around task management. As you know, for the past year, we've had a work group and we've been very focused on task management and implementing enhancements. So we've had a work group, we've had a lot of great county participation. Every release this year, we've been putting in enhancements around task configurability, task banks, task upload, and we have more changes queued up. We have changes going in 2411, 2501, 2503. What we wanted to do is actually focus on a specific type of task, and that's related to document routing rules. You know, over 30% of the tasks that are generated come from these document routing rules. We know that there's a lot of documents we send to our customers and a lot that come back, whether they're renewals, recertifications, verifications, and they come in mail or dropped into the office and get imaged in or through online sources. So we want to do a little deep dive in this area to see, you know, how these enhancements are helping the counties, because again, all these enhancements are focused on your, streamlining county business processes. So we're going to spend a little bit of time with counties to understand these new features and functions, what's being used, what's being helpful, and is there anything else we can do to help you? So let's go to the next slide. So this process should start to seem a little bit familiar. We followed it for our release communication discovery activities. We also went through a similar process for the workload assignment work that Jason has wrapped up. So we're going to send a survey, and I'm going to talk about, we've sent that. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, where we're at with that. We're going to have a workshop. And then obviously all the input we get from you, we're going to synthesize that and report out at an upcoming meeting. So we're trying to do this in a fairly rapid fashion. We know this is a key focus for counties, and you have many tasks that you work every single day. I know I see Lynn nodding over there. So let's talk about next steps and actually where we're at with these next steps, because some of them are already in process. So this first one, we sent a survey out, we sent a CRFI out to all counties, seeking to understand, would you like to participate in our survey? And so we had a great response. 45 counties responded. You all want to participate. You all want to take the survey. The survey, step 2, was sent out yesterday to those 45 counties. It's relatively short. We love your input, and it's really focused on, the features and functions we've deployed, what's working, any feedback you want to give us. It's going to talk about the append functionality, sibling tasks, and all the different pieces of assigning tasks and bundling tasks, and getting that initial feedback before we have a workshop. So in order to do the workshop, we're going to send out another request. We need a couple of people. We haven't finalized the exact number, but per region, getting participation so we can hold that workshop and really dig into some of these areas as it relates to document routing rules and how what's working and what can be improved. So I know it's on an expedited time frame. We're hoping for mid-December before the holidays hit. If for some reason we can't do that, we obviously will push this to January when folks are back online. But we're excited. We're hoping to get great input and see what else we can do for you. And I think, Cindy, with that was my last slide, and back to you.
Well, great. Thank you, Lisa. And I just want to say, I love that you're talking about the document routing rules, and I really, really appreciate that. We have struggled in that area for sure, since we came on to CalSAWS, and so I think this is a great approach to try and synthesize it down into some usable chunks, hopefully. And because we've definitely had some struggles trying to implement that the best way it could benefit us possibly. So really appreciate this idea and this approach, and I'm sure it will be really helpful to all the counties. So just want to throw that in really quick. But any other questions or comments from any of the PSC members? Any questions or comments from members of the public? Okay, great. Well, thank you for that. And we just, like you said, keep plugging along, moving into the new year. So thank you. And next, we'll have a discussion from Dawn and Lulu, I believe, on the Gainwell infrastructure transition.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
So in terms of the infrastructure transition, we did take, as you know, we are transitioning the infrastructure related activities. So infrastructure being everything that the application runs on. So all the stuff that CalSA's, the actual application is sitting on. We are transitioning that from a couple of incumbent vendors, one Ernst & Young, who had been running OCAT, and then Accenture for the CalSA's system. We did break all that work up into 17 different work streams, and we have completed 2 of those work streams at this point. The first one was really a contract change. So we moved the GAGR correspondence solution, which is your GAGR templates and using Extreme to create those templates. That has always been provided by Gainwell. So this was really moving it from one of our exiting contracts to the new contract. But OCAT was being run by Ernst & Young. We have taken over the OCAT operations. And in this case, we actually have taken over the application as well. In most cases, there was no impact. However, we did send out that information about the fact that we were going to close the separate OCAT help desk, and we were going to move everything into the service desk, the CalSA's service desk, so that you have one point of contact regardless of which of those solutions you're having a concern about or a question. And we have been receiving OCAT requests through the CalSA's service desk at this point. So it does appear that your staff have identified the proper way to contact us about OCAT. But again, just a reminder that that was the one change that would have been noticeable to your staff, which is that the service desk is now the CalSA's service desk. We are also behind the scenes working to bring the OCAT processes under the CalSA's umbrella, and we are working through the change process. We have completed our first deployment into OCAT using the CalSA's processes, and we have some other processes to bring in, moving them away from those separate Ernst & Young processes and bringing them into the normal release process that you're used to. And then we can move on to the next slide. And talk a little bit about what about those other work streams, because there are 15 other ones, and where are those? The boxes highlighted in blue here are where we are at with the rest of those work streams. So we do have a 5-step process for each work stream: document review, knowledge transfer, which is where we are meeting with the incumbent vendor. In this case, all the remaining work streams are with Accenture. And we are having discussions, talking with them about any questions we have, mostly that came out of reviewing all the documentation that was available. We do anticipate in December moving into shadowing, and then in January, reverse shadowing. Shadowing is where we watch the Accenture staff do the actual activity. Reverse shadowing is where we do the activity and they watch us do it. And then during those processes, we gather validation information and ultimately do a readiness review before we actually cut over that particular work stream. So as you can see, we're in the first 2 steps right now, planning to move into that 3rd step in December. And with that, we can move to the next slide, which is really another county impact that we did want to highlight. In most cases, again, we're doing a transition in place. We do not anticipate major changes for your staff. However, there is an impact around in-flight county purchases, because those do need to transition in terms of infrastructure related ones, from Accenture to Gainwell. And our objective is to not have those be either missed or delayed. So we are working right now with CPMO on verifying the list of those that are outstanding, figuring out exactly who is going to complete that work, and engaging on those in which Gainwell is going to complete the work. And so we did want to give you the heads up that you could have a county purchase where you are now getting a contact from a Gainwell staff member who wants to pursue completing that county purchase with you. And so this is just a heads up that definitely could happen. As a matter of fact, for a couple of counties, we have already begun the process of having some discussion on certain county purchases. And I'll ask Holly if you'd like to add anything to that process.
Yeah, do you understand that counties do have quite a bit of lead time required to get a county purchase approved through your local processes? So we're prioritizing those that are, there's some at the top of the list. Fresno comes to mind, a couple of other counties where some services will be concluding at the end of January. So we want to make sure to get that information over to you. So we are looking at early December. And Fresno would be first, but early December, otherwise on a couple of those that are coming up.
And I did want to clarify when we're talking about in-flight county purchases, this does not affect those of you who have central print county purchases in place, or if you're on return mail, those are not involved in this conversation. Those were opened with Gainwell and will continue the process with us. So these are really just infrastructure related ones. So no need to redo your central print return mail county purchases in any way. Those are not affected by what we just talked about. And with that, Cindy, I think we can hand it back to you for any questions.
Okay, thanks so much. Just a quick question about the GA. What is this for counties who are already in the GA solution?
It is.
Okay, so is the work still going to be continuing for the counties that I think there were 8 counties or so that were in the process of transitioning over to the GA system?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna hand that back to probably Holly for the update on where those are standing.
I don't have an update on county purchase status, but for any that are in process or in pending, research mode, those will continue to be shared. There's an Accenture component to those counties who are moving to adopt or expand that GGR component. So it will be shared between Gainwell and Accenture. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, sure. Yeah, and then we'll get information on it as it moves forward. Sounds like.
Cindy, I do think there's 1 or 2 counties that are going through the review process. San Bernardino, Shasta. They are already going down the process and should be set. Those would just keep moving forward as they are.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. And thanks for that report out too, Dawn. Any questions or comments from the PSC members? Okay, any questions or comments from members of the public? Okay, thank you for that. And then now we'll move on to the ICT update with Peggy.
Gonna be Nicole.
Hi.
Nicole.
Yes, I'm Peggy today. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone got there safe and sound in this rainy, windy day. So without further ado, our ICT update. Some of you have been following this through the process. As we know, ICT is a big regional priority for many of the regions. And so what we did a while back was gathered a county focus work group who gave us a lot of feedback about their thoughts on why they may struggle in ICT processes and user experiences. And so we gathered up all that feedback, we synthesized it, triaged things, grouped them by theme and such, and then worked really hard to prepare some recommendations that might have included some quick wins and some longer range thoughts. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so on here, you can see, or maybe you can't see because it's small, so I will likely look up at my bigger screen, but we have some of the outputs of that feedback as far as some quick win things we pulled together and other things. So first up though was, how do we ensure that we're on track and validate that what we heard is really what's needed, and also kind of make sure that the regions feel supported by one of your own. And so with that, we identified an executive sponsor from Region 3, which is Ryan Bishop, a PSC member, and he has done a great job in providing some insights, and he is extremely active with us. And I don't know that I saw him on today because I know he had another engagement maybe. So, but he would provide that executive level oversight you see up there. And then you see in the second area that one of the other things was we identified a need to have a forum and convene a work group where people could discuss the business processes. And we have a huge ICT protocol document that the counties developed long ago that became a little bit out of date. So it's taking a look at those, a place where they could share best practices and kind of stack hands on a 58 county way to look at things. And very helpful has been that the state and CWDA have been engaged as partners in this process. There's a lot of analyzing that needs to be done. So you can see there's validation involved of which forms and images and things are still required in today's world. When we started all of this, there were 3 consortia. And we're down to the 1. So then we kind of looked at things and went, okay, from a support standpoint, what were people saying? Were there pain points? Where could we help shore things up? And so we've already had our awesome training team kick out some work products that your staff have hopefully been able to review and start using already. And there are other things already queued up, which you can see in that third box of some job aids upcoming, quick guide updates, things like that. And we're super excited, which you'll hear a little bit later about this CalSAWS Learning Exchange for February. And then also in flight is this whole ICT protocol process. So on that, we have already had some early draft comments and responses. It's still being refined. And so our intent is to get it as wordsmithed as possible to the as-is state with validation by the state and CWDA and questions answered there, us asking questions of them. And then deliver that to this work group to further work on that part about stacking hands on a common business process and understanding of what is out there and how to use it. Next slide, please. Okay, and as you can see, we've already done the work on here to complete to do a request out for the participants in this work group, and we selected 5 participants per region, and that is not inclusive, of course, of the state and other stakeholder participants. And that kickoff is actually today at 1:30, so we're pretty excited about that. And we expect to engage bi-weekly, and we are trying to be cognizant of holidays and other important meetings and work around those for you. Next slide, please.
That's all, Nicole.
That's all, Michelle.
Sorry?
That's all.
That's the last slide.
Oh, okay, it wasn't 40. I think I might be next up too, but I'm going to pitch back to Cindy.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you, Nicole. And I again, this is something that we really appreciate. I know a lot of the regions have this listed as one of their priorities. So appreciate the quick work and the work group meeting. And you know, I like the comment, the stacking hands. So really, really excited to see where that's heading. So are there any comments or questions from PSC members?
I did have a question. This is Irene for Region 6. In the discussion, was there any to take a look at how automation could play on maybe part of the process? I know we want to standardize and go and review, but anything in there regarding maybe some portion of the process that we could look to automate?
So the counties did provide feedback in that work group session of, you know, in the perfect world, but we are looking to this work group to work through standardizing, as we said, and if we hear opportunities for enhancements, that work group basically is going to work through it, and of course with state CWDA and our own project being involved. So that is kind of where that stands. We look forward to giving you more updates in the future on that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, good question. Hopefully now that we're one, you would think it would be real easy. Press a button and boom, everything is there for the either transferring in or transferring out counties. So yeah, hopefully there'll be some things that come up that will streamline that. So good question, I think. Anybody else? Okay, any questions or comments from the public? Okay, so Nicole, yeah, I think we move on to the CalSAWS Learning Exchange update.
Okay, this is me as Peggy again. So good morning. And this part, I think you all are well familiar with. We held M&E road shows throughout part of 2023 into 2024 to kind of just give everybody the level set of, here's what is expected given our processes. And so what we did then was shift gears a little bit to then go ahead and say, okay, where do the counties maybe need to hear about some of the functionality and things where they feel like they're not quite sure about something and maybe need to hear it again and consider what they want to do about opting in, things like that, or just staff are struggling in some form and it kind of crosses regional boundaries. So if that is the case and people kind of agree, hey, this is something we think we really need to hear about, gets kicked over and we look at that for what is called a CalSAWS Learning Exchange. And so we kicked that off this year and they've been going fantastic. And if you'll forward slide, we will look. So the one that we just recently held here in October was on Disaster CalFresh. That was a highly desired CLE session, and it was well received by the counties. As you can see here, we had 541 participants, 49 counties repped, and which is fantastic. And there were lots of materials produced and they always do the recording, of course. And so you can see there where we have that stored on the web portal for your county staff. Go ahead to the next slide, please. So this is just always what we like to include is like, what do your staff say about things? And as you can see, people thought it went really well. They thought it was well presented. They liked the video demo part of it, the step-by-steps and all of that. One thing that's always important is trying to find the balance, right? And sometimes if you do too little, you don't quite hit the mark for some people who are looking for more, and some people are really adroit in navigating quickly and understand. So on this other comment, spent too much time on basic data entry. Noted, we'll try to find the sweet spot, but please bear with us. Next slide. And then this just gives you the overall timeline of our CalSAWS Learning Exchange sessions. And so we give you, where do we start and where are we moving? You can see we completed the DCF in October. So our next up, very anticipated one, would be the ICT and duplicate persons. We have not yet landed on the dates for those sessions, but we promise to give you an update when we have that available. And looking ahead, you can look forward to task management, benefits Cal, and we do have a couple other topics in the hopper that will be discussed, and if considered to move forward, we will add those to this slide for you. So you might be asking yourself, okay, then our staff may want to ask what we would like to have that we haven't had yet. And so how would you do that? So you would go ahead and make sure you contact your regional managers and they go ahead and capture those requests. They discuss that. And what helps them is if you kind of give it what priority you believe is important, low, medium, high, and a little bit of context so that they then can make the case for what they're hearing and see if that is a shared interest for consideration. So that would be great. Another thing that is so important to us is partnering with our counties. You all have such bright people, as we've seen at the last CWDA conference and other opportunities where we have the county highlights and such at JPA. You guys have a lot to share. And so we really do like to partner with you on these types of things in the CLE as well. And so we may reach out to those of you we've seen do certain things when we hear that counties are interested to see if you're willing to step into the process and partner with us on delivering these CLE sessions. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. Good things coming up. Thank you
Yeah.
for those topics. And
Sure.
any comments or questions from PSC members on the CLE? We have another new acronym to learn. Okay, any comments or questions from the public? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll move to the next topic, which is the procurement update.
Thanks, Cindy.
Ah.
The procurement update is that we're moving along really well on the benefit scale. Everything's on schedule. Just completed orals and key staff interviews, and those went well. And thank you for the facilities that we used at Sacramento County. Made it very nice, and they were very hospitable. That's the procurement update.
All righty. Sounds good. Any questions or comments from any of the PSC members on that? Any comments or questions from the public? Okay, great. Thanks, Tom, and thanks to all the participants in that.
Thanks.
All right, we're moving along rapidly onto the state partner updates. And is anyone here from OTSI?
Good morning. This is Patrice Yang. OTSI has no updates this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And CDSS? Okay, we'll move on to anybody here from DHCS for partner update.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Teresa from DHCS. Just a couple of things. One, just wanting to let folks know that we're receiving quite a bit of policy updates from our federal partners at CMS, with promises that more updates on policy are going to be coming before the end of the year. And sharing this more just to say that we'll be working very closely with our county partners and our system partners, as many of these broad sweeping policy changes will affect the way that we do business here in California. One thing that I think will be of particular interest to both our county partners and our system partners is we did receive a letter from CMS regarding long-term usage of the unwinding waivers. And I went ahead and put it in the chat where that can be found. And just sharing that DHCS is currently noodling through the guidance that CMS has provided and looking at what that will mean from a California lens. However, if any of you are interested in a spoiler alert about what some of the things are that CMS is allowing states to move forward with on a long-term basis, that would be where you would be able to find that information. The other only small update is just that we've got a lot of annual letters that are popping out. We know that we've been working closely with CalSAWS, as Lisa indicated earlier, to make sure systems are ready with all of those updates, and just sharing that you all will begin to see the finalized letters being published in coordination with those system updates. 2 of them have already been published yesterday, and you'll continue to see the remainder of them published over the next couple of days. That's it from the DHCS side.
Great, thank you, Teresa. I hope those waivers continue. So anybody from CDSS on the line? Just checking again. Okay, hearing none, then any comments or questions from the PSC members? And any comments or questions from the public? Okay, we are zooming through this meeting this morning. And so our next update is from the PSC members, and it'll be regional priorities. Okay, so we've got Region 1 up first.
Hello, Lynn Perez, Napa County Region 1. One of our priority 1 are reports, including demographic reports. We are constantly or consistently being asked for demographic information, and it would be nice to have dashboards available to easily obtain that information. And this is the #1 priority for the Management Reports Committee. with SCR CA-232-876. Also, CalFresh reporting improvements, disconnect between operational reports and state reports, and overall state and management reports. Our priority number 2 is just what you guys are addressing. We're looking really forward to the ICT work group. And we still consider ICT functionality and processing as a top priority. And of course, the ROI, anxiously looking forward to the ROI updates. Region 1.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to Region 2.
Hi, this is Sula for Region 2. I think similar to Region 1, we share some of their priorities, and our priorities remain unchanged from last month. They include updating state and management reports in CalSAWS, modernizing our ICT protocol guidelines, and coordinating with the state on new policies in CalSAWS. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Region 2. Moving on to Region 3.
Ryan's not on today. Is one of the RMs gonna cover?
Okay, so everybody can see on the screen the Region 3 priorities there. Manual NOAAs and EDBCs, ICTs, duplicate persons, mid-period actions, reports, and system configurability. So the next, moving on to Region 4, and I'll provide the update for Region 4. And so as people have reported, the ICT process was a priority for Region 4. And so glad to see that has happened so quickly to get some traction on that. Reports, of course, as everybody else has mentioned, state and fiscal reports, as well as ad hoc reports. Enhancing release communication. So we had talked about communications in general, but for release communications, we're looking for more information to be provided around releases. So we do appreciate the new information being provided now with the worksheet and what have you. So we appreciate the project looking into those as well. Our next priority, contact centers. And so with the Fresno AI, we're excited about that. Getting able to be implemented throughout the counties in the region, and always interested in improvements and how we can keep up with improvements in the contact centers. And then the last item sort of goes hand in hand too with the ICT process in other regions, the duplicate person record reconciliation. So that'll be really great when that comes out in one of the new sharing sessions. And so just how we can better utilize all the tools that we have for ICTs and duplicate person. So those were the priorities for Region 4. And then we'll move on to Region 5.
Hi, Jermaine Duncan from Ventura County for Region 5 priorities. They do remain the same. Session management, logout issues, workload management, intake scheduling, county filter on person search pages. So glad to hear some of the information that was shared today, and intake informational packets. So those are our 4 priorities that do remain the same.
Okay, thank you. And on to Region 6.
Hi, good morning. Olga Vicuña from DCFS. DCFS is working, like it says here, on improving our foster care hotline. We recently met with the Amazon Connect people that came to our office, helped trained us, and kind of gave us an overview about the different capabilities that system has. And then we also are exploring the AI functions, not only from their program, but from other outside, like Microsoft and other teams that are also having those systems in place. And then for DPSS, AB, AWD, procedural automation, our contact centers, the enhancements always being looked at. And I think that's it. And we're also getting ready for our federal Title 2025 audits for our foster care cases. So we're doing a deeper dive on those to make sure that we pass. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody for those priority lists. And then I will turn it over to Julia next on the discussion about the December PSC meeting.
Oh, yeah. The only item that we just wanted to put out is that because of the holidays, the PSC for December is canceled, so we will reconvene in January. That's all I had, Cindy.
Okay, thanks. And I'm not sure if I neglected this, but back on the priority discussions, was there any questions or comments from the PSC members? Any comments or questions from the public? Okay, and then anything regarding the December meeting cancellation? Okay, and then I did want to mention that CDSS did note in the comments that they had no updates, but they were having some technical difficulties. So in case you didn't catch that in the chat, wanted to report out on that. So, okay, well, I believe that's the end of our meeting then. And with no meeting in December, then the PSC will reconvene in January. And I just hope everyone has a happy, healthy, and safe holidays this season.
Cindy, just a note, there actually is no PSC in January either because it's a member representatives meeting and the PSC is invited to that.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you for that reminder. And so then we will see everybody at the general membership meeting in January and then the next PSC meeting in February.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.